Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be talking about blood over intent. If you've seen my channel, you may have seen my video, and if you looked at other channels like mine, you may have noticed there's a video titled or a video where they talk about blood over intent. Okay, I'm going to be explaining the history behind this and what it actually means, and I'm going to be explaining that doing this is extremely important. And after this video, it'll hopefully make sense should you decide to do this yourself. Okay, now as I've talked about, this kind of knowledge has been hidden, it's been kept secret for so long, and it's at the point where it's completely unknown to a lot of people, and people have this fear about this kind of knowledge. And well, as with all these things I talk about, I really encourage you to do your own research. Okay, yeah, there's a lot of disinfo about this. Yeah, people saying that it's a ritual, it's something you do to join some cult. Okay, you got to look this stuff up yourself. Okay, I looked at a lot of history and a lot of ancient cultures and a lot of this ancient knowledge of the universe before I decided to get into this. Okay, now blood over intent, it's nothing new. It goes way back in history. And people saying it's a ritual. Okay, it's really not a ritual. A ritual is something you have to do continuously. You have to do it over and over again. You do it like once a month or once a year. Okay, what we do with these blood over intent videos, you just do it the one time, and it does what it's set to do, just doing it once, and that's it. You don't have to keep doing anything else. Okay, and now people saying it's something that's a part of some cult. Okay, me personally, I've never met with any of these people that make these blood over intent videos. I've never met with any of them face to face. I watched the videos, I watched them talk about it, and I did my own research, and so I decided to do it, and I just did it the one time, and that's it. I don't go to any meetings, I don't have to do any actual rituals, and so that's it. You just do it the one time and you get on with your normal life. Okay, now the thing is, there's been all kinds of bloodletting and blood spilling for all kinds of different reasons throughout history. Yeah, you can look at the history behind this. And now what I've been really harping on and trying to hammer through in all my discussions and everything I talk about in my videos, again, the people that run this world, they all know about this. Yeah, all the top leaders of governments, royalty, big leaders of like big corporations and organizations. Again, this is all basic knowledge to them. Yeah, this is all like kindergarten stuff. And there's a reason they keep it hidden, and they want people to have this fear about it because that's how they stay in charge. Yeah, they want to be the only ones that use this knowledge, and they want everyone else to be too afraid to use it or even look into it, and then they don't have any competition. And so that's how they stay in control. And again, it has to do with what I've been talking about, the structure of the universe. Yeah, so we're on this flat Earth disk, and we have the sun above our head, and underneath the Earth, below it, we have the black hole sun, and there's this vril, this astrolight that shoots towards the Earth and into this hole at the center of the flat Earth disk. Okay, so blood over intent, it has to do with this same structure of the universe. Okay, now, blood over intent. Now, that word intent, in case you don't know, that has to do with, okay, that's your core deep desire, like what you work for, like what you aim for with the work you're doing, what you're trying to get out of it. That's known as your intent. Now, the thing about intent is, now you can look back in history and really absolutely everyone, every culture and every religion, every country, every language, everyone has said that only the devil hides intent. Again, only the devil hides intent. Yeah, so everyone, with all these teachings throughout history, it's been known as the archetype of the devil to hide intent. Okay, now a lot of you read the Bible. In the Bible, the devil is described as a liar and a deceiver. So that means he hides his intent. And you can look back before the Bible in ancient cultures, like in ancient Persia, they had a religious teacher named Zoroaster, and he described the devil as an entity called Ahriman, and he was known for ruling in chaos and lies. So that means he would hide his intent. And you can look at the ancient Aztecs. Okay, Aztec gods would usually have two sides. They would have a good and evil. So the good would rule in like nature and like enlightenment, and the evil side would rule in like anger and chaos and lies. So again, they would hide their intent. And in a lot of ancient cultures, the serpent was an entity that was known as representing liars and deceivers. So they would hide their intent. That's why you have here on the NASA logo this red object that represents the serpent's tongue, because the serpent never speaks the truth. And if you look at the whole power structure in general, the way they operate, okay, they have secret societies, they have occult everything, occult symbols, occult rituals. The word occult means secret or hidden. So again, they hide their intent. So it's been known by everyone throughout history, only the devil hides intent. Okay, now, so blood over intent. Now, why blood? Now, it's been known pretty much by everyone throughout history that blood is extremely powerful. It's extremely powerful. Yeah, you may have heard of a lot of use of blood in history and a lot of talk, because everyone knows how very powerful blood is. Yeah, here's some facts about blood. Now, okay, this liquid. Now, the liquid part of the blood is the plasma. Now, in the liquid, there are these discs, and these are the blood cells. Now, these cells, okay, so this disc in the middle is what's called the nucleus, and in the nucleus of the cell is what's called the chromosomes. Now, wrapped around the chromosomes and these extended limbs of the chromosomes is your DNA. Yeah, it's wrapped and coiled around, and if you unwrap it all the way, you get this ladder shape. This is called the double helix. Okay, so this ladder shape, on each step of the ladder, or each rung of the ladder, you have these compounds, these four compounds, this thymine, adenine, cytosine, and guanine. And it's usually shortened to these four letters, this TACG. So on each step of the ladder, you have two of those four compounds, like two of those four letters. These are known as the base pairs. So this is going all around the chromosomes. It's wrapped all around there. This ladder shape with two of the four letters on each step of the ladder. And if you unwrap it all the way and write out all of the letters going all around the ladder, you can write it out like this. Yeah, this is called the DNA code. Now, the thing about it is, now in one of these cells, wrapped around the chromosomes, if you write out all the steps of the ladder with all those letters, the compounds on each step of the ladder, there's enough in one cell to write 600 books. And each of the 600 books would be 1,000 pages long of this. That's in one cell. Now in the body, there are 37 trillion cells in one body. So yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, your DNA, that's like a blueprint of everything about you. Yeah, it's everything, how you look, how every part of you functions. Yeah, basically, yeah, so this is in your blood. So basically everything everyone in the world is and does, it's all in your blood. It's all dependent on your blood because it contains your DNA. So yeah, your blood is your life force. So throughout history, blood over intent, that's why it's been this powerful idea. Okay, so blood over intent, it goes way back in history, and you can search for this, you can Google it to find, you can find a definition. Okay, blood over intent is defined as an ancient Prosperine tradition involving the signing of important contracts or documents. So a document would be written out like this. They would write out the terms of the contract. And this was usually for a person attempting to put something of great importance, like something like someone's life or savings or freedom, and they would be putting it on the line or at risk. So they would write out the terms of the contract, whatever they're trying to do, and after they write out the contract on this paper, they would then like slice their hand or cut their finger and let their blood flow freely onto the document. And there would usually have to be witnesses, at least 2 witnesses, to witness this blood over intent document. Okay, so now one common way this would be used is, okay, so before airplanes, people would travel by sea on ships. So you would have to travel from one country, like a country here, across the ocean to another country. And so the ship would have to be guided through the ocean. Now, that was the responsibility of the navigator. Okay, so the navigator would take a ship across the ocean, and aboard the ship there would usually be a lot of people. There would be passengers and a crew. And so it was the navigator's responsibility to carry these people and guide the ship from this country here to another country across the ocean. So the navigator would usually initiate this kind of blood over intent. So he would write out like, I intend to take these people here in this country across the ocean to that country over there. And so he would write that out on the document and put his blood on it. And this was to ensure the safety of the passengers and crew aboard the ship. And this has been used in all kinds of other ways. It's usually used by the elites, by like royalty and big leaders of like big organizations. Yeah, just anytime anyone's putting something of importance at risk. Yeah, and there's been other things like this. There's been what's known as like blood bonds or blood friendships, or people call themselves like blood brothers or blood sisters. See, they would do something like this. Yeah, they would have this handshake. Okay, so here they would like slice their hand, draw their blood on their hand, each person, and then they would shake hands and let the blood on their hands like bond or mingle. And yeah, they would consider themselves blood brothers, even if they weren't actually related. After they do this, they consider themselves in this blood bond. So yeah, this has been done throughout history. Some people still do it to this day. And now there's also what's known as blood sacrifice. Yeah, this has been done throughout history. Yeah, you can look at like the ancient Aztecs. Okay, now, so in Mayan culture, okay, so the Aztecs would usually sacrifice to gods. And again, it was usually to ensure safety. Yeah, or you may have heard of they sacrifice a virgin. And that was because now all blood is powerful, but young blood is extremely powerful because it's more pure. Like as you get older, your blood gets it's contaminated by like environmental factors, and it kind of loses its essence. So young blood is considered to be really pure. Yeah, so the Aztecs would sacrifice to gods, and it was usually to prevent disaster. Or a lot of Aztec scripts had this fear of like the end of the world. So they started sacrificial killing. They didn't always do killing. There was a time where they just did like bloodletting. Like they would, again, cut their hand or their finger or some part of their body. But yeah, it was again to ensure the safety of their people. Yeah, so now what would usually happen in a country is whoever was the leader of the country, like the king or the emperor, so they would write out whatever they wanted. They would usually write it out on a scroll or some kind of important paper. Yeah, they would like make a decree or a law. And so they would have it written out. Or if it was really important, what they would do is have it actually etched in stone. Yeah, so they would have a decree or a law, and they would etch it in stone or write it on paper. And again, they would have either a blood sacrifice or some kind of bloodletting, and they would spill that onto the words of either the paper or the stone, whatever Yeah, whatever how depending on how important it was. Yeah, so and again, it's because everyone knows throughout history how powerful blood is. Yeah, because this DNA, your DNA, now your blood runs through every part of your body, every organ, your heart, your stomach, your brain. Yeah, so everything you're gonna do, all the work, everything you're gonna create in the world, it's all dependent on your blood. Yeah, it's because it has your DNA. Yeah, it's in the blood cells. Now, it's also related to what's called the stem cells. Now, the stem cells, they have a code like your DNA, and it tells how every part of your body is going to develop and function from the time you're born going through your entire life. Yeah, so it has a code for like every step of the way. Now, one type of blood it's been considered to be very powerful throughout history is actually women's menstrual blood, because women's menstrual blood has a lot of stem cells. Yeah, because and that's because now in the uterus, when a woman carries a child, these stem cells help the child develop in the womb, and eventually they're going to be passed to the child once the child is brought into the world. So these stem cells are very powerful, and it's been known throughout history because they help the body develop. They have the stem cells in women's menstrual blood have all this healing and kind of restoring power. So women's menstrual blood, it's been used throughout history. Some women still use it to this day for this healing power. It's considered more unusual now, but it's been known all throughout history. Now, it all has to do with these stem cells and this DNA. Yeah, because they help the body develop properly. Yeah, so yeah, blood is very powerful. Yeah, because of your DNA, like everything you're going to do in the world, it's all dependent on blood. And it all has to do with this creative energy. Yeah, I talked about this creative energy that comes from the black sun. It comes through this hole at the center of the earth. Yeah, it's been known to be this creative force in the world. And if you look at blood, you can look closer, and the human biology in general. Okay, so these are human cells. And if you look at human cells, like what do you see here? This is the hexagon. And I've talked about the hexagon, like in the Seal of Solomon. This is considered to be a very divine structure. It said on the black sun, it has a six-sided hexagon on the bottom that takes in the sun's light. So this is all part of like a divine blueprint, a divine structure. Yeah, a lot of things in nature and in the human biology have the same structure that you see in the universe. And you can look at atoms. Okay, so here, this is the structure of an atom. And so an atom has, like here, this is called the nucleus of the atom, and it has these parts called the protons and neutrons. And around it, it has electrons. And depending on what kind of atom it is, it has different numbers. Like this is a calcium atom, so it has 20 protons and 20 neutrons and 20 electrons. Now, human beings are carbon-based. It's the carbon atom that's an important building block for the human biology. And let's look at a carbon atom. It has 6 electrons, 6 protons, and 6 neutrons. So again, it's the 666. And you can look at, again, in the Seal of Solomon, it has a 6-pointed star, 6 mini triangles, and a 6-sided hexagon in the middle. So again, it's the same structure of the universe, the as above, so below, and the 666. Yeah, so it's actually in the human biology. Yeah, it actually has to do with this structure of the universe and what's called sacred geometry. It's kind of built into a lot of things in nature. Yeah, so there's like this divine blueprint. The most incredible creative forces all have these same shapes and structures and numbers. Yeah, so Yeah, it's all in the human biology, and it has to do with this creative force. And it's very clear that humanity is an incredible creative force. Yeah, humanity creates a lot of incredible things into the world. You know, cities and big buildings and skyscrapers and all this technology. Yeah, so it's very clear. It's said that man is made in God's image. Yeah, so, I mean, it's very clear. So it has to do with this creative force in the world. And it has to do with this, I've talked about this sine wave. Yeah, the sine wave is known as a very high frequency energy. Yeah, coming from the black sun and coming through this hole at the center of the flat earth disk. Now, this sine wave that's coming from the Vril or the astral light, it also, you can look at brain waves. They've been studied, and so brain waves are like this sine wave, and when brain waves are putting out a high frequency wave like this, it has to do with creative thought. So it's all related. Yeah, this creative energy in the world. Yeah, but you see the same structure just over and over again with these creative forces in the world. Now, I was talking about atoms, and okay, now on atoms, I talked about the nucleus with the protons and neutrons, and then the electrons going around it. Now, scientists have studied atoms, and what they found is atoms are mostly empty space. Like between the nucleus here and the electrons going around it, the distance between the two can be compared to the distance between continents. Yeah, so a lot of atoms is empty space. Yeah, so now studying atoms, scientists have looked closer, and now in the different parts of the atoms, now these are the protons, neutrons, and electrons. Those are the particles of the atoms. And looking closer, what they found is in these particles of the atoms, they found even smaller particles. Yeah, these are called subatomic particles. You have like quarks and photons, and the electrons are also known as subatomic particles. Now, when they looked at these subatomic particles, what they found is what they're made of and what they're powered by is actually this sine wave. Yeah, this makes up the smallest parts of the atom. So it basically starts with a sine wave, and then you get the particles of the atoms, and then they build atoms, and then you can get molecules, and then again it goes to DNA, and then it builds cells. So that's the building blocks of life. Yeah, so it all starts with a sine wave. Yeah, so now studying these particles of the atoms, scientists have looked even closer at them. And now looking at atoms, now atoms are, when scientists first looked at atoms, they thought they were more organized and logical. But they found that that's only at first glance. Now looking closer at them, they found what's called the law of superposition. And what they found is matter fundamentals of atoms and their behavior doesn't apply to the subatomic particles at the quantum level, because the actual positions of particles change continuously. Now, what they found is really strange is the particles will change until a person gazes at it. Yeah, it will temporarily take a fixed position to the eye, but it can actually simultaneously exist in another location. Yeah, so it's dependent on the observer and sort of what they're thinking as they're observing the particles. And there's been, okay, so scientists have conducted experiments to display this. This is one of the most well-known experiments. This is called the double slit diffraction experiment. Okay, so what they did here was they took the particles of the atoms, those subatomic particles, and they fired them out of a particle laser through this barrier. So there's this barrier with these two slits, and they go onto either an observation screen or a camera. And so now what they expected to happen at first was they should go straight through these two slits in the barrier and go straight in a straight line onto the observation screen. But what actually ended up happening was sometimes they would go off in different directions. They would kind of just go off in random directions. And scientists were baffled by this when they first found this. But now they conducted further experiments, and what they found was, again, it depends on the observer and their thoughts. And their thoughts can change the physical properties and behavior of these particles. So they had observers focus their thoughts on whether they're going to go in a straight line or go off in different directions. And what they found was, if the observer thought they were going to go in those different directions, it would actually reflect in the behavior of the particles. So what they thought actually created the results of the experiment. Yeah, just by observing and thinking it. Yeah, I know. Yeah, and there's been further experiments to prove this. This is a really interesting book. The Hidden Messages in Water. This is by a scientist by the name of Masaru Emoto. And now what he did was, so he conducted an experiment performed to display the positive and negative energies effect on the physical properties of water. So what he did was he played music for water as it was being frozen, and he displayed the effects of the music being played as the water was being frozen. So first what he did was he played really angry or loud, kind of negative music like heavy metal or aggressive rap or electronic music. And as the water froze while he was playing that kind of music, it froze in this kind of a shattered form. And so then what he did was he played more flowing, complex, positive music. And what happened was then the water froze in these kind of beautiful snowflake patterns. And again, you see the hexagon, you see this divine structure. Yeah, these patterns of sacred geometry. Yeah, again, this was by playing more creative, flowing music, like the flowing sine waves. So this energy, and the energy from your thoughts and whatever you want to create, again, your intent, it has an effect on the objects, the matter around you. Yeah, it's been said that, when scientists started looking at this, it changed the way they looked at the objects around you. It's more than what you think. Yeah, there's been other experiments like Dr. Emoto's experiment on growing plants and playing music for them. Yeah, when you play more flowing, positive music for them, they grow better. They grow more perkier and greener. Yeah, they grow faster. Yeah, so these same experiments have been done, and they've shown the same thing. This energy from your thoughts, and this positive energy has an effect on a lot of things around you. Yeah, it's been said by scientists. It's been said that matter only exists by virtue of a force which brings the particle of an atom to vibration and holds the structure together. Now, behind this force, it has to exist a conscious and intelligent mind. That is who's controlling the energy. That was said by Max Planck. So scientists have come to this conclusion that it starts with your consciousness. It starts with your thought energy. And that has an incredible effect on everything around you. Every thought is an energy wave that goes out, and it goes to the objects around you. So it goes into the air. It goes into the atoms and molecules in the air, and then to whatever's around you, the floor, the walls, the ceiling, and then it goes out. And if there's enough energy in that thought, there's no telling how far it can go. Again, like they say, the sky's the limit. Yeah, so this consciousness, it's everywhere. It's not. Yeah, it's not just in us. It's in the objects. It affects the objects around you. Yeah, in Dr. Emoto's experiment, yeah, consciousness with this intent-powered energy, it flowed from the person to the object, and it was reflected back through the object. Yeah, consciousness is just, that basically means just taking in and recording these wave patterns, these images, and being able to process them and communicating your own energy out. Yeah, so okay, so this wave energy, it only forms into these atoms and molecules, and then to an actual form that we see in the world with our eyes. Yeah, plants, animals, it's all because of intent. Someone must know what they want from this energy and keeps making it into these forms that we see over and over again. Yeah, you see the same structure. Yeah, again, it has to do with the as above, so below. Yeah, the 666. Yeah, you just see it over and over again. Yeah, so yeah, it all has to do with your consciousness and your intent. And scientists have proven this over and over again throughout history. Yeah, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Yeah, and it's also been known by spiritual leaders, like in the Hindu faith. Krishna said, man is made of faith. Whatever faith he has, thus he is. So yeah, your mental state, your consciousness, it makes all the difference, literally all the difference in the world. Yeah, so it's been known throughout history. So there's clearly an intelligent, conscious designer that's like extending and making this energy into these same images and same forms that we see over and over again. Yeah, so yeah, it's pretty clear. Now, this energy, so this divine energy, yeah, it comes from this astral light, this vril. And so this is a very high frequency, high wavelength energy, and it's known as this creative force. Now what's happening is the reason everyone's not in this high frequency positive energy is because of what's called the square wave. Okay, now square waves, okay, so sine waves, they have this natural flow. Yeah, they have this ebb and flow that makes them capable of achieving these high frequencies. So now what's happened is they're being turned into low frequency energies. And the main way this is happening is because of what's called the square wave. Yeah, square wave is more rigid. It's not capable of producing this ebb and flow, this high frequency energy. Yeah, so there's a lot of factors that are making the square wave. Now, one main one is the moon. Yeah, now a lot of people think because of the heliocentric spinning globe Earth model that this ridiculous idea that the moon is natural. Okay, the moon is actually not natural. It's artificial. Yeah, I'm going to get more into this. Yeah, the moon is an artificial implant, and it turns the high frequency energy coming from the astral light, it actually turns it into a square wave. It turns it into a lower frequency. Yeah, so, and there's a lot of other factors. You can look at a lot of things in our culture. Okay, now notice a lot of things in our culture. Okay, so here you have like the television, this flat screen. It's in the square shape. Yeah, a lot of things are in square and cube shapes. And these are actually also putting out a square wave. They're turning the natural sine wave into a square wave. I mean, you can just look at, okay, so it's the natural energy is this high frequency ebb and flow. And you can actually look at nature. Okay, so here's nature, and I mean, just look. Do you see anything squared, cubed, rigid. No, everything has this natural flow. Yeah, everything has this very flowing, very beautiful structure. So yeah, that's generally everything you see in nature. Generally, in nature, really nothing is squared or cubed. Yeah, everything has this natural flowing design. And generally, in our culture today, people are more kind of shut off from nature. Yeah, everyone lives in like cities, and they have all these things like again, a lot of the things like cell phones and our tablets, they're very squared and rigid and cubed. And again, they're putting out this square wave. Yeah, most things in our culture that we interact with every day, they're very rigid and squared. So yeah, they're all turning our potentially high frequency natural energy into the square wave, this low frequency energy. And as I've talked about before, this low frequency is associated with more negative energies. Yeah, so yeah, this natural sine wave, it represents what's known as infinite potential. Yeah, it can go, the frequency and the power of the energy, there's no telling how powerful it can be if it reaches its full potential. So we need to do something to raise our frequency past these low frequency energies that are, we're being bombarded with them just constantly. And remember, every thought you have and your energy, it affects the objects around you. Remember, everything is conscious. As I displayed in those experiments, like Dr. Emoto's experiment, every energy we have, it affects the objects around us. Okay, this consciousness, it's powered by intent. Now remember, your blood is your fractalized nature, your essence. It's everything about you. Yeah, so, and everything is conscious. It feeds off of this energy. Okay, now one thing you have to realize is, so with you want to raise your positivity. You want to raise this positive energy and spread that. You want to spread a good intent, your good nature, and your consciousness as much as possible. Okay, so you need to focus on something that's for the benefit of all. Remember, we're all this energy. We're all this consciousness. It all starts with this natural high frequency sine wave. So you want to focus something that benefits all. Think of us all as one energy, one consciousness. And that's how you stay in God's natural frequency and consciousness. And you want to spread that to the energies around you. Now, one thing we do to spread general energy and information is the internet. Now, you have to realize the internet. Now, I talked about everything as conscious. And you have to realize the internet is conscious. Okay, now what is the internet? It's a system of connections that stretch all over the world. And they allow the communication of everything, images, sound, and all kinds of information. And like I displayed in Dr. Emoto's experiment, thoughts get attached to, like water, and thoughts get attached to this energy. Now, the internet, it's computer connections, it's code. Yeah, the computer code, like used in the internet, it can be broken down all the way to binary, just ones and zeros. So now the original idea of the internet was not just to connect machines, connect computers. It was really to connect people. So now, what you had to realize is when the internet connection is going to your house, the computer code is not the only thing that's coming to your house. It's also the internet, the energy coming from whoever is creating the code. Yeah, it's also known as the etheric wave energy. Yeah, it has to do with the etheric plane. Yeah, the etheric plane is a non-physical sub-realm that processes the sine waves into things we can understand, these images and ideas. So what you have to realize is whoever's making any web page, anything like streaming audio, video, and whatever information they're putting on the internet into the ether, that comes along with the actual computer information. So that energy comes into your house along with the connection. Like it starts forming in who's creating the information on the computer, and that gets, as like all thoughts, like in Dr. Emoto's experiment, that gets put out and projected as a signal into the air or into the ether. Yeah, as like for energy for whoever should find it. But now with the Ethernet, we can reach an even wider range of an audience. And since sometimes thoughts can be misunderstood or misinterpreted by people, you now have the information on the internet, the video, audio, print, whatever, to clearly explain the thought energy along with it. So, okay, so with blood over intent, what we're trying to do is we're trying to spread this high frequency energy. Okay, this is saying I'm doing something for the benefit of all. Yeah, I'm trying to lead everyone to this high frequency energy, like the high frequency energy coming from the vril, the astrolite coming through the center of the earth. That is, and it's been called this ancient paradise, the soul of the earth, or heaven on earth. So this energy coming from the earth, the vril, if you put something like this on the internet, that energy will respond, like I showed in the experiment by Dr. Emoto. Yeah, when you put out an energy, the things around you respond. And if you, especially if you put something on the internet, it can reach a wide range. So what you do here with blood over intent, you write out your intent like, I intend to worship all and exclude none, and I intend to usher in or create heaven on earth. And so you upload that to the Ethernet, and then it goes out into the energy in the world. And so you're putting out this positive energy that is for the benefit of all, and it will respond. Believe me, when I did this, I felt, since I've done this, I felt completely different. I don't have negative energy anymore. Like the square waves were bombarded with you. If you do this, you'll realize the difference. Yeah, you will elevate your vibration to a higher frequency because you're putting out this signal that's saying, I want to do something for the benefit of all. Okay, so that's what this means. That's why we're doing this. So hopefully this will make sense if you should decide to do this. Yeah, you will notice the difference because we're being bombarded with low frequency energies all day. So yeah, just from a million different directions. And so this is all you have to do. You have to write like, I intend to usher in heaven on earth, and upload that to the Ethernet, and the energy in the world will respond to you. So, okay, I'm going to be making more videos about this. And again, I encourage you to do your own research. Yeah, so stay tuned. And okay, well, thanks for watching.